Hello everybody, you're welcome once again to another video on the Ugamadi Football channel. And today I'll be talking about Mauricio Pochettino and how I feel he's costing Chelsea. And he has been costing Chelsea. And I think Chelsea would have been higher up the league table, if he had done things a little bit differently. And feel free to disagree if you feel to agree, and share your thoughts and opinions in the comment section, whether you agree with what I say or disagree with what I say, whether you think the entire blame should be placed at the feet of the board, the Chelsea board, the Clearly Capital, or the Todd Bowley-led board, or you feel it has to be laid at the feet of the players, or it should be laid solely at the feet of Mauricio Pochettino. Firstly, I would say welcome, like, share, and subscribe as usual. Please subscribe to this video. Let's get going. Now, while I'll raise my hand up and say Mauricio Pochettino isn't to blame for everything, but I would also say he is costing the team, he's costing the club with the way he has chosen to play. And the reasons he usually gives for some selections, decision he makes, gets me wondering. I ask myself this question, and I don't know if you ask yourself this question as well. Does Mauricio Pochettino see Chelsea as actually a big club? Does he have a big club mentality? Because going into a lot of games, the excuse you hear is he doesn't, like, for instance, when he had Chilwell and when he had Colwill playing left back, the excuse was he didn't want his left back to be bombing forward and be in the opposition's half. Now, that is a small club mentality. If you're Chelsea, you dominate the ball most times. Most teams you come up against will sit back and defend, and you will dominate the ball. So you must be offensive. And then the game against Brentford this weekend, the same reason was given, but for a different part of the field. That was right back position. He gave a similar reason. He said his opinion was that Disasi is big, strong, and he would be able to cope against the set pieces, or rather he would be seen as a solution against the set pieces and crossings and physical play of Brentford. Now, how do you go into a game when you're Chelsea Football Club with that mindset? The other team, with due respect to them, should be figuring out ways to cope with what you bring. You know, when Man City goes into play Wolves would have to shape their play, shape the way they attack, shape the way they defend to counteract what Man City have to offer. Man City just goes in and impose their style of play on the opposition. Same thing with Arsenal. Impose the style of play on the opposition. So if you Liverpool as well, they go in high press, high octane football, drain the life out of the midfield, choke the opposition's air in the midfield, and then force quick turnovers, get goals to their balls to their wide forwards. They score goals, and that's how they play. They impose their will on weaker oppositions. But Pochettino this season has, for whatever reason, decided to allow the way oppositions play dictate how he chooses to set his team up in terms of the entire philosophy of the team. He changes it more of, I would say, fear of what the opposition would do. When Chelsea as Chelsea as a club should be imposing their will on these players. Because when you say Disasi is more physical, he's bigger, he's stronger, so you want to use him in case of set pieces and crosses into the box, then ordinarily, in my opinion, you are saying that you think Brentford are going to dominate the play. Because if you believe that Chelsea Football Club would dominate the play, would dominate the crosses, would dominate the attacking phase of play, you wouldn't be emphasizing so much of um, balls being crossed into your box in terms of when you're selecting your fullbacks. You should be able to deny them the ball. So those sort of decisions, just robs the team and keeps costing the team. Also, there's something I call tactical integrity. And you see this with Man City, you see it with Liverpool, you see with other teams that are doing well, you see with Barcelona as well. If you have one player injured in Liverpool, the next person on the bench is brought on. The person who's closer is replaced in the next game, or if it's an injury that says that player goes off, leave the pitch, you bring on that other player. Even if it means promoting someone from the academy to take up that spot. And what that does is it makes the players understand that the style of play they have to play. They understand that this is the consistent style of play. This is the consistent tactics going into most games, except you have some exceptional games. Maybe you're coming up against a Man City, coming up against sides that will dominate you normally. That you have to sort of counteract what they do. So even if you have one player injured, you should be able to come up with, even if it's an academy player, so that you maintain that tactical integrity. You don't bend it. And consistency, when you play in a consistent manner, you have a tactical formation, a tactical style of play that you want to implement. The way players get used to it, get used to one another, get used to the runs players make, is when you go with that formation game after game after game after game after game, and they improve. Now, this is not to say if something goes wrong, you shouldn't change it. You shouldn't tweak things here and there. You should. But if you want to play with the 4-3-3, 4-4-2, whatever you want to do, there should be that tactical discipline. Don't just change it because you feel a team is going to cross more than 10 crosses into your box, and a team you're meant to dominate position against. And these things keep costing the team. Now, when I talk about fullbacks, people go on to say, "Oh, fullback, what do you mean? Is it because we don't have fullbacks? That's why the team can't score goals, or Jackson should score a goal?" Fine, Jackson should score goals, and I'll be doing a video on what striking options we should go in for in January. Should we stick with these boys, i.e., Broja and Jackson, or going for Seaman? I feel we should go for Seaman. But what people fail to understand or fail to, acknowledge is the way your backline is set up affects how you attack. The way for instance, if you have very defensive fullbacks, it affects the way you attack. And more so, since Pochettino, in line with what seems to be the modern trend, is playing with inverted wingers, no problem with that. Your fullback become even more important. Fullbacks become even more important because they're no longer just defenders anymore. They're no longer just the defenders, but they're no longer players that just sit back, and defend against wingers. They also push forward. They're also meant to push forward. And since you have inverted wingers, when the wingers go infield, the fullbacks go on the outside. They overlap, they go on the outside, distracting or dragging the opposing fullback to them, and then creating that space. Or if the winger goes on the outside, they underlap, they go infield. So when you now decide to play with a fullback, a centre back, more or less, not a centre back more or less, an actual centre back in a right back position, he's unable, especially one like Disasi, who doesn't have the pace or the legs to run in terms of do that box to box thing and match up the pace of the wingers, match up the speed of play of the pace of the opposing fullback, and match up the pace of play of your own winger, of your Madueke's, of your Sterling, of your Mudriks. Unable to do that, then the winger loses that support. And that's why Madueke on Saturday looked lost because she was always doubled up. And it also takes away the balance when you do this thing that Pochettino has been doing throughout the season. You have a centre back as a fullback on one side of the defense, and then on the other side of the defense you have an actual fullback and a winger. What it does is that it makes it easy for the opposition to defend against you because they know where they have to compensate. They know where they have to send more players to and still maintain that balance. Because if you send more players over for instance, against Brentford on Saturday, if you send more players towards the wing where you had Sterling and Cucurella, you would not have the same level of threat with Disasi and Madueke, because Madueke would play as a winger would play, but you wouldn't have the supporting run of a fullback from Disasi. So it sort of makes the job for Brentford easier because they know Madueke, he must cut in to his stronger left foot, and then that the space he leaves will still be open. So it makes it easy. So it made it easy for the fullback of Brentford and the midfielder to always double up on Madueke. So you saw all the attacks being forced down the left hand, just the left hand side, and then as opposed to having a balanced attack. When you do that, you then spread the game open. So these subtle things cost Chelsea games. These subtle things cost Chelsea games. Sometimes you take a fullback and play fullback in the midfield. When you have an actual defensive midfielder against Arsenal, he did the same thing, something similar. That's what he did. Rather than bringing on actual defensive midfielders you have on the field, you brought on Reece James, who was yet to be fit. And why I say we shouldn't lay everything at the feet of the board, though I think they can do more, is they have signed certain players and you're refusing to use them. Not because they're not good enough, because we've seen Malo Gusto, he's good enough. Cucurella, he's proven himself. Ian Maatsen at Burnley, he showed himself that he's a very, very good left back that can be world class if he plays at left back. But you're choosing not to play him at left back. You play him at right wing. So as a board, when you see what you've given to a coach and the coach is putting those players out of position, what do you think the board will be doing? Okay, let's just give an example in everyday life. Say you have a kid and the kid asks you for, let's say, a pen. And then that kid uses the pen to write on the wall as opposed to write on a page and on a book. Wouldn't you question, what are you doing? Same thing. You've been given fullbacks. You've been given wingers. You're not using them. If you have wingers, if you have fullbacks playing their right position and they are not delivering and they're not playing well, then you can say, okay, look at what you gave me. You give me wingers, they're not writing. Same thing. Someone asks you for a pen and you give the person the pen. The person attempts to write with the pen, but it's not writing. The ink isn't flowing. The person will say, oh, you gave me a pen, but it's no good. So the same thing, exact same philosophy, exact same thing. Football, you're giving all these players, use them. Then if they're unable to cut it, then it's clear for everyone to see. But you have a more than competent right back. Reece James is, close to full match fitness, yet you're playing a centre back at right back. And sometimes you play a centre back at left back, even if you have three very capable left backs. Though Chilwell is now injured, so you have two now available at the moment. You still decide to play people out of position. Why? Because you see, the teams like Brentford, Burnley, Nottingham Forest, Defeat them by just playing your best players in their best positions. Simple. Don't overcomplicate it. Play your best players in their favored position, and more often than not, you would win those games. But when you start complicating things, then you confuse your own players and make it easy for the opposition. You say, oh, we thought this guy was going to make it difficult. He's just made it easy for us. So all the decision Pochettino is making, he's costing the team. So it terrifies me in a way because I ask myself, what if Victor Osimhen is signed tomorrow? Or more accurately, when the January transfer window is open, Osimhen is signed. He's spacey, and Pochettino, what if Pochettino decides, oh, he's spacey? I think he's right-footed, so maybe he plays as an inverted left winger. That could be possible. And fans buy into these supposed super tactical ideologies brought forward by managers. You take a player and play him out of position. In this, play him out of position. So it makes me a bit skeptical about signing players, top players. I want top players to come to the club. I want players, high caliber players to come to the club. But if Mauricio Pochettino keeps playing people out of position, some players will look at it and say, "I'm not coming." Especially the world class ones that you want at your club. Look at it and say, "Okay, I'm not going to play as a winger for you." Tuchel was doing this as well. He will play Osinodoy as a right wing back, when everyone knows Osinodoy was a right winger, at least, or could also play at left wing. So these little things I feel Pochettino is doing is costing the club. One, consistent style of play. Pick a style, stick to it, be consistent. Secondly, stop playing players out of position. It may seem very simplistic, and you'd say, Hugo, I don't think just putting players in this position is going to mean they're going to score goals. No, you want players to, when a player is comfortable, when they're playing in their favored position, they feel comfortable, then their confidence grows. And they are more sure of what they have to do because they've been playing football from when they were 8 years, when they were 10, they're playing professional football, playing sort of organized football. I won't say professional football, organized football at 8, 9, 10. Some of them are playing a deep line playmaker roles, wingers, and then they grow up 17, 18, they're playing particular role, and then they play for their national teams, establish themselves in a role, and you come and you play them out of position. And before I go to the end of the video, the way this world is in terms of footballing talent, you don't need to play players out of position. Because if you want extremely offensive defenders, you would find them. If you want extremely defensive midfielders, you want a striker that tracks back, you would find them. So you don't have to play people out of position. Because what people don't understand is football, just like any sport, is more psychological than it's physical. And the way to get players on side is to get them to enjoy their football. And how do they enjoy their football? Is when you play them in their right position, in their favored position. And you pick a particular tactics and play. Because, for instance, in the Chelsea squad, people know Disasi is not as good a right back as Malo Gusto. Even Disasi knows he's meant to be playing centre back. Colwell knows he's a very, very good centre back that can grow on to be, he's a very good centre back prodigy that can go on to be world class. He knows. So when you play him at left back, though he will play, he will be humble and play that role, he would question in his mind, why is he having me play left back? More so when you have, like I said, 3 left backs. 3 left backs. 2 right now available to play that role, and you're playing to one out of position. And overall, you rob the team. It doesn't help the team to be an offensive team, because this team, people say it's inexperienced, and is an experienced team. Fair enough, but it's a young team. It's a team with energy. It's a team with flair that should play. What you have in young players is they're fearless. So this team should play fearless attacking football, winning games maybe 5-4, 3-2, 3-1, those sort of things, as opposed to being bashed 2-0 at home. You know. So at this point, we're coming towards the end of today's video. Hope you've liked this video and hope you've subscribed to this channel. And so my name is Ugamadi. We've come to the end of today's video. Do have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll be also keep your eyes peeled on this channel. Click on the notification bell as well. So when I put up my preview to the Chelsea Blackburn game, you would know when it's up, and you can come and watch and let me know your opinion, what you think so far. So do have a wonderful rest of your day.